On this episode on Unfiltered with Shanice, we talk about forgiveness. I have a special guest, Vanessa, and she's a nervous system practitioner. We open up and talk about forgiveness and how a big part of a role it plays in our lives. And we also talk about forgiveness and its many perspectives. So come join me on my video.
Thank you everyone who watches my channel and my clips. I am doing a segment on forgiveness and I have lovely Vanessa with me. Not only is she a beautiful lady, but she's also smart and intelligent, but also has been a feature on Big Brother 2005. So thank you. Hi Vanessa. Thank you so much for being in my video. How are you? Good?
Hi darling, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. I'm just so thrilled.
Good. How are you going?
Good. I actually am
Are
really
you
good.
really?
Yeah, just tired, being a full-time mum, and
Okay.
doing this channel and all of the rest, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot, isn't it?
It is. It actually is. It is a lot.
I was just going to say that, a parenting alone is definitely a lot for one person, yet being a single mum. So good for you.
Oh, I'm not a single mum. I'm not.
Oh, you're
I'm a
not? Did you
full-time mum.
say
Yeah.
you're a single mum?
I have a
Oh,
partner.
sorry. You were cutting out a little bit and I thought you said single mum. So sorry about that.
No. Okay. So with a lot of the stuff that you have on your content, it's consistent, it's great, which I love. But the reason why I wanted to obviously have a chat with you is that a lot of the things that you be professional along in is a lot with mental health, trauma, and a lot of
Yes.
things that
Yes.
a lot of people find hard to deal with if they don't have help.
Sure.
Yeah. And
Sure.
forgiveness is a topic that is a bit touch and go. And I
Okay.
believe a lot of people can have misconceptions, they can have misunderstandings, and people can actually manipulate it for their own benefit. And
Absolutely.
with your expertise, I wanted to kind of open up the boundaries on forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
the true understanding of it, and
Mm-hmm.
I think you're a really good
Mm.
person on that,
Okay.
especially your experience that you've been through with the content that you share online. You tell people that even the closest people to you
Yeah.
can hurt you, you know? So yeah, is that okay if we go into
Absolutely.
that?
But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like unfortunately the closest people to you are mostly the people that hurt you the most. Because I feel that with strangers, we tend to kind of put on this we can compartmentalize our behavior. So when we're with family, we feel very safe with family and we feel like subconsciously we can do and say a lot more than what we could with strangers because we care more about what strangers think of us and our family because they're safe. They're never going to leave. They're never going to tell us, oh, whatever. So we compartmentalize our behavior. We can behave this way with this person because we don't really know them. So we need to put on that, let's say, facade more. But with our family, we come home and we just unleash.
Yes.
And it's very, very common. And it's not that it's fake with other people. It's that we can have it's like boxes in our head. This behavior is for our family. This behavior is for the checkout chick. This behavior is for our kids. This behavior is for our friends. So
Yeah.
for me, it's more so trying to merge all those boxes together. And most importantly for me, I find who I am at home is exactly who I am outside of the home. And that's what I focus more on, treating the
Yeah.
people around me that I love a lot better than strangers.
Yeah, of
But
course.
usually for people, it's the other way around, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course. And I feel like, family really does manipulate forgiveness. You have to forgive me. Exactly what you're saying before. Family, almost has this excuse that you must be forgiven because, who can you rely on? Where can you be?
Mm.
And I personally believe that actually really does cross a boundary, and it actually affects you being a people pleaser to others as well, doesn't it? You're constantly being knocked down. I must forgive, and then you have to forgive others that, who hurt you. Now, what's your definition of forgiveness? Everyone has
Yeah.
their own. What's yours, Vanessa?
Sure. So prior to you asking me to come on to the podcast, and I saw your list of questions and I looked at the questions, I'm like, okay, what perception does this girl have of forgiveness? Because I am in the minority, I would say, around forgiveness. I do not believe that you have to forgive anyone if you don't want to. Forced forgiveness can cause a lot of nervous system dysregulation. A
Yeah.
lot of people force others to forgive them for their own comfort. So if I've done something to you, it would make me feel more comfortable with myself that you forgave me for what I did to you. But that's
Mm.
for me. That's for
Hmm.
me. For you, you're still holding on to that pain because you haven't processed it yet. Number one. Two, I still might be hurting you. So, how can you possibly forgive someone if the behavior
Mm.
still continues? Forgiveness is only possible for another if you can set a firm boundary. This is the whole doormat thing. You can forgive a person,
Yeah.
but if they're continuing the behavior, that's when you become the doormat. But you need to set firm boundaries. Hey, I forgive that behavior, but moving forward, I don't want to see it again. Can you please, change that behavior or work on that? Work on
Yeah.
it, please. So you don't have to come constantly to me and say, "Oh, can you please forgive me?" Don't do something to be sorry for in the first place. Just
Yeah.
stop doing it. Recognize
Change
your behavior.
change your behavior. Yeah.
Change your behavior. That's where it's at.
Mm.
So, and I think a lot of the times religious groups are force forgiveness onto people.
Yeah.
And when you force forgiveness, it doesn't allow you to look at yourself and your own healing because you're doing something for the other person's comfort. And I call BS on that. I always have.
No, of course. Okay, perfect. And I think a lot of people
Mhm.
really do feel that way. Why should
Mhm.
someone who's, detrimentally hurt me or significantly really has ruined that person, why should I have to forgive? They're still dealing with that pain. And like you were saying, as long as that person's feeling that pain, how can they forgive? How can they move on if they're constantly dealing with that pain?
But they
And
can't
I
though, Shanice. They can't do
yeah,
they
yeah,
can't they can't move on because when you're dealing with hurt and pain, it's a nervous system thing. So you can't forgive someone
yeah.
who's feeling unsafe in your body. So
Mm,
if I'm feeling if someone has done something to me and I someone has forced me to forgive that person, but that person continues that behavior, I'm not going to feel comfortable around them. So my nervous system is in fight flight. I don't feel safe
mm,
around that person. So you can't forgive someone that you
yeah,
don't feel safe around.
yeah.
And imagine telling a person of sexual abuse you've got to forgive your
Mm,
perpetrator. Absolutely not.
no,
So
yeah,
forgiveness is so personal.
yes,
It's subjective to the situation. You need context. There are so many things you need to go
yeah,
through prior
yeah,
to. At the same time, forgiveness is not mandatory for
yeah,
healing. And a lot
yeah,
of people will say, you can't heal unless you forgive that person. No,
yeah,
you
right,
most
okay,
definitely, you most
yeah,
definitely
right.
can.
So someone, okay, so we are drifting off, but I am quite curious because I myself have come from a background of, unfortunately some abuse and violence. And you're right, when someone is constantly feeling the pain, it is very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But someone who is in this position who just chooses not to forgive because it is very painful, what steps do they take? What are the very first steps to kind of try and, feel a little bit better? We don't want to be perfect, but how can they start that journey of wanting to heal a little bit without having to forgive that pressure? I must
Sure.
forgive.
Sure. So the whole healing comes down to regulating your nervous system, feeling safe in your body, bringing yourself back to the present moment. Because as a person that's gone through some sort of abuse, during that abuse, you would have been in your fight flight, you would have been in your
Yes.
survival brain. So you
Yeah.
wouldn't have, because you have to survive that situation. So if your survival brain has been activated too many times, then you sometimes can feel stuck in that part of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
and you're not able to move out of that part of the brain and into your thinking part where you can rationalize what happened. You can kind of think about it. Now, if we're going to start healing, it's really imperative that you start with your nervous system. You need to start feeling safe in your own body.
Okay.
That's where
Yeah.
it starts. Safe in the body. Then you can come out of your survival state and you can go into your prefrontal cortex, the executive functioning of the brain, and that's when you
Mm-hmm.
can start making better decisions and better choices.
Right.
And then once you have moved from your survival, then possibly forgiveness might come into it. But Shanice, it's definitely not important that you forgive
Yeah.
that person. You don't have
Yeah.
to. The
Yeah.
forgiveness comes from healing your nervous system,
Yeah.
forgiving yourself for holding on
Mm-hmm.
to all that shit for so long.
Yes.
Yes. So that's where I kind of started with my journey. I started to heal by acknowledging my pain, validating my pain, feeling
Mm-hmm.
safe in my own body, bringing myself back to the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could get out of my survival part of the brain. And then I could start thinking about, okay, what were my parents going through at that point in time when they were raising me? And then I can start thinking about that. And
Yeah.
okay, that happened for them, that happened for them, that happened for them. Okay, I feel safe in my body to forgive them now. But what I
Yeah.
don't feel, what I won't do is I won't allow them to continue the behavior. So I've now had to cut contact with them because
Yeah.
they don't want to change. They don't want to respect me as a woman. So I have to go, okay, this is my boundary. We can't have a relationship. And I'm content with that.
I think that's absolutely fair, and I think that is definitely the right decision to make. And I do firmly believe that if someone is quite close to you and they are constantly overstepping that boundary and respect you as a person, and you have said it over and over and over again, I have the right to, personally for myself, I've gone, I need to move on from this. I can live without you and forgive you, but I will not tolerate this behavior. I need to move on
Mm-hmm.
and be happy. And if that means I have to cut ties, I personally believe that once I cut ties with someone and I forgive them, for me, it's that letting go, and not revisiting the pain. But again, everyone, like I said, that's just relative to
Absolutely.
myself.
Yep.
But it was more so for me. It wasn't for them. It wasn't, oh, I
Yep.
must forgive because God said so or others said so for me to move on. It was like, no, 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 I choose to because I refuse to think about it every day. I refuse to let it have a hold of me. And the moment I let
Absolutely.
go of those negative emotions, I can, within a work in progress, years of progress, I can
Mm-hmm.
move on. So
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people think that if you forgive, you still have to be a doormat or I must, or it's like almost like a submissive thing. And I'm like, no, that is definitely not the case. You can hold your ground, be polite and respectful, but also have a boundary. There is nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. But that's where it all boils down to. If you don't have a
Yeah.
boundary, you then become a doormat and then you're saying, I'm going to continue to forgive you no matter how you treat me.
Yeah.
I mean, who does that only benefits the other? I mean, it doesn't benefit either person because you're continuing
Mm,
to get hurt. The other person is staying stagnant in their behavior and not really growing as a person anyway. So neither of
exactly.
you are benefiting from that anyway. Who benefits from that?
Exactly.
Nobody does.
No.
And
No.
I do know of people that, I forgave my parents, we've got a great relationship. I don't know. If their behavior hasn't changed, then do you have a good relationship or have you now just shut your mouth and tolerated their bullshit? There's a
Suppressing the
difference there.
emotions, suppressing the real issue, and not actually
To have a
unlocking.
relationship.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what a lot of people do. They forgive people, and then in
Mm,
order to maintain a relationship, they suppress who they are as a person, or be careful, don't say that around so and so, blah, blah, blah. No, it doesn't work like that.
mhm,
That's control. That's not a relationship. That's that person
mm.
controlling you. That's what that is.
And
So,
And to go a bit further with talking about suppressing emotions and suppressing
Mm-hmm.
yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously this is your specialty with the nervous
Mm-hmm.
system. When you suppress these things, what does the body do?
Well, the body doesn't know whether it's happening now or it's happened in the past. It believes that the emotion is happening right now. So when someone is suppressing an emotion, the body doesn't think, oh, hang on a second, this is from the past. It thinks it's happening now.
Mm,
So when you're
yeah.
suppressing, the body's again just reliving that. So when people are crying about, let's say, something that happened to them, and I watch people uh, they think they're soothing them. They say things like, "Oh, don't cry. That happened so long ago. Oh, look, just
Oh,
stop thinking about it." That
oh, that's
is
horrible. Yeah.
keeping people. Yeah, essentially you're keeping that person in their trauma by
Hmm.
suppressing their emotions, by not allowing them to cry. And that emotion gets so suppressed in your nervous system, and your nervous system and your muscles hold on to that emotion. So we'll see people that have gone through so much trauma in their lives. This is really important for people to remember. It stores in your muscles. The
Wow.
trauma creates tense. So when you're, for example, right now, let's say I've got I'm upset about something. I'm like, and someone says, "Don't cry, don't cry." You're like this. My shoulders are up, right? I'm like this.
Yeah.
So then I turn to the side. Over the years, the head becomes forward, the back becomes rounded, and your posture starts to do this. And your muscles become so tight because all that tension is stored in the muscles because you weren't allowed to release it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is where
Right.
the conditions of the body, like fibromyalgia, I'm not 100% certain, but I feel like that condition stems from not being able to release emotions and suppressing everything around you, holding resentment. Because if
Yeah.
you're holding these emotions, this resentment from your parents or from your partner, you're holding that. Where do you think you're storing that? In your muscles, all the tension, and your
Right.
nervous system gets reactivated constantly, and
Yeah.
it doesn't know whether that situation just happened or it was 10 years ago.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
quite complex, but it's easy at the same time if you think
Yeah.
about it.
I do believe that complex in situations, but really very simple that the body can actually go through some damages once the body's under trauma.
It remembers everything, Shanice. The body keeps
Yeah.
score of everything. And it
Yeah.
does that by holding it in your nervous system and by holding it in your muscles. So that's why somatic practices are so important for releasing tension. The stretching and the
Yeah.
humming and the tapping,
Yes.
all of that releases a lot of that stored tension.
I've seen that actually. I've seen a few videos saying, move your tongue here, breathing like this, tap yourself, or,
Mm.
and then they're like, right, that should help you kind of be in the present moment. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should try to do
Yeah,
this when my
absolutely.
baby's
Just, the
crying.
tapping on the chest. I am here. I am safe. I am here. I am safe.
Yes.
That sort of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, the
tapping
tingling on the
here,
forehead.
tapping
Yeah.
there. Yeah, all of that. So it keeps you grounded and present. And I've seen this practice when I was in the beauty industry. There was a client getting a beauty treatment, and to
Mm.
distract her from the pain, the practitioner was doing this.
Oh, wow.
So she's staying
Yeah.
present, stay present, stay present. Okay. And focusing on this part. So that
Yeah.
keeps you present in the moment.
All
So that's what
right.
it's about, though. When you're
Yes.
traumatized and when you're holding on to stuff, in that moment, you were elsewhere in your body because it wasn't safe to be present. And now we've got to bring our body back to the present. And
Mm.
that's how our healing journey starts.
Yeah, right. That's amazing. I just love all the information that you're giving me. I actually really do. It actually it's as much as I'm get asking all these questions, it's just something new that you're learning. I'm just looking here at all the other questions that I think you really have answered all of them. I think you're a gun.
If you want to delve into other things, darling, I'm happy to do that. Like,
Yeah.
go
Oh, yeah,
ahead.
here's one, and I think we covered it very briefly, right? Now, stemming away from sexual abuse and violence,
Yeah. Yeah.
more so just about holding on to resentment. You know how, someone said this and
Mm,
someone did that, or they gave me a bad look, right? As a society, should we be
mm.
forgiving a bit more? Like, should we kind of, move on? Because some people can really hold on to things. Like, and I've come across them and they'll say something and I'll be like, oh, okay, you were able to hold on to that for a while. Okay. And it may not be anything big. So do you think as people we should kind of not sweat the bad, like the small stuff?
Well, look, I find that people that tend to hold on to things that you've said in the past or just hold on to things in general, that's a control issue. So if you've done something to somebody and that person has apologized and that person has changed their behavior, but you're still holding on to it, that indicates to me that that is a form of control. You might feel that you don't want to let go, you don't want to forgive that person or let go of that resentment or whatever you're holding on to because you feel more in control holding on to that. That
Yeah.
gives you a sense of control because in your mind, letting go of things and saying, okay, I understand, may have made you feel out of control in the past. And a lot of
Yeah.
the times it comes down to childhood. We've been programmed as children when we're angry or upset. Our parents would have said, don't get angry, no, don't get upset. We weren't allowed to express our emotions. So that also has a lot to do with why people hang on to it because they don't actually know how to let go. They don't
Yeah.
know. So I feel like two truths can exist at the same time,
Yeah.
more often than not. And if we come across people that are holding on to stuff all the time, just remember they may not know how to let go or it doesn't feel safe enough for them to let go.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it doesn't feel safe. That person might constantly trigger you because you can see what you're lacking in yourself because they're holding up a mirror to you and you feel more in
Mm.
control by
Yeah.
just holding on to that. No, I, sometimes no, I'm not going to let go of that because, sometimes it's too late. Is it too late to let go of something?
Yeah.
It is never too late to let go of
Yeah.
something. You're not letting
Yeah.
go for the other person. You're letting go for yourself, for your own health.
Yeah.
So it's it's tricky because a lot of it comes down to childhood and what triggered us as children. We
Mm.
tend to get triggered so many times by people because we may have experienced being shut down as kids. So when someone
Yes.
comes across and says, let's say they correct you, you might view
Mm.
correction as rejection.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us don't know how to connect with people before we correct them. A lot of parents don't know how to connect with the child before they correct them. Children see correction as rejection. So if
Mm.
that happened to you as a kid, you may view someone saying, oh, actually, that's not true what you just said. It's actually this. You might go, yes, it is true. And you might dig your heels in because as a kid, you were always being corrected and there was not
Mhm.
much connection.
No, no, and you were always wrong, or your self-confidence was low, and you didn't feel like you could confide in your parents. That connection and that relationship kind of becomes more of an authoritative role, being a parent and you're the
Mm.
child. I have to say, and I asked my mum if I could say this. My mum, she really relates to your stories. She really relates to how you were brought up.
Oh,
So. My mum is Macedonian.
oh,
So when I looked at
oh,
some of your videos, I could understand what you're saying. So my dad's actually
oh,
Peruvian. That's why I'm
wow.
very, very dark.
So why you're stunning?
Oh, thank
Why
you.
you're
That's
like you're
makeup.
dark, you're stunning. No, it's not makeup. No, it's not. It's you.
Oh, you're so sweet. But my mum really related to what you
Mm,
had experienced, and she was saying that in the Macedonian community, it's everything's hush hush under the rug. And also, you don't really go against your parents, and there can be a little bit of violence or a lot of violence, or there can be a lot of
mm-hmm,
emotional abuse.
mm-hmm.
So when she was watching your content, actually a lot of that made her feel normal. She didn't feel abnormal. She was like, "Oh, okay, I'm not the only person who went through
Yeah,
this."
wow.
And and now she says, "If you don't laugh, you'll cry."
I was gonna say that people don't people don't actually understand that crying actually releases stress. So
Yes.
when we are constantly telling children, don't cry, how are they releasing all of their emotions and stress? Like, imagine a child all day, they get up in the morning, and just imagine this, Shanice, and I've ran through this in my head so many times. This little person we'd all develop from the brainstem forward, from the survival part of the brain. The first 8 years of a child's life, all they are focused on is connection and safety, feeling connected to their parents and feeling safe in their environment.
Yeah.
So when you wake up a child in the morning, get up, eat your breakfast, put your shoes on, get dressed, go out the door, go to school. What happens at school? Sit down, look here, listen to this, do that. Bell rings, eat, go here, come back. So all day we are telling children what to do.
Yeah.
And we're missing the opportunity to connect with them.
Yes.
You see? So children just want to be connected, and that's sometimes being still. Sometimes that's a cuddle. Hey, do you want to cuddle for a little bit? Yeah, I do. We are connecting, so it's really important. Like, and I say to parents all the time, yes, I'm not a parent, but I've been a stepmom for a very long time. I used to be, and I made a lot of mistakes with my stepkids, and I learned a lot from them. It's about connecting first and saying, hey, you feel very sad today, don't you? Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to hug instead? No, I want to talk about it. Okay, let's talk about it. And then you correct them. But what you did wasn't also very nice, was it? But rather than going, what you did, was it nice? Their thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, hasn't even been developed yet.
No.
So how can they possibly know? How can we possibly expect children to have executive functioning when their brains are not even developed yet for that?
Yeah.
How? It's like asking a fish to climb a tree. That's never going to happen. So kids are never going to have executive functioning until their brains are properly developed. So we need to lower expectations. We need to step into their world, not the other way around.
My upbringing was obviously different to my daughter's. My mum worked really hard. She did. Really young, got into the real estate industry, and she didn't have enough time to be present, if that makes sense.
Of course it does. Of
Yeah.
course it does, because all she was focused on was surviving. So she was in the
Yes.
survival part of the brain, and she may
Yeah.
have had and at the same time though, Shanice, her brain was still developing, because our brains only finished developing at the age of 28, and now studies have shown that it's 30. So our brains are
Yeah.
developing later and later,
Yeah.
So having firstly you at that age, her brain's not developed, all of the hormones that she's dealing with, like I've been pregnant before and unfortunately I miscarried, but the hormones I was dealing with, it was crazy. And then she's raising you, and then she's working. Like, we need to give parents a little bit of grace, and
Yes.
we have to give them some grace, and that's what you've done, and it's very evident. And of course she would have made mistakes, but you've obviously learnt from them.
Oh, 100%. And now
Yeah.
having my daughter first, you're going through postpartum, you're going through all of those
Yeah,
things, but you also remember as a parent, my daughter has no clue what she's doing. She is a
absolutely.
baby. So she has to
Absolutely.
look to me for me to be able to regulate her emotions, show her the
Absolutely.
way.
Yep.
And I think it's so different. I think the older generation used to dictate to us, used to
Mm-hmm.
tell us what to do,
Yep.
and obviously emotional abuse in really
Yep.
devastating circumstances, physical abuse.
Yep.
And I think the newer generations are going, no, when I was a child, I had emotions. When I was a child, I had thoughts. When I was a child, I had a brain. So
Absolutely.
when I have children, I'm not going to treat them the way you treated me, take orders. And if I did mess up or make mistakes, you didn't reassure me that everything will be okay. You actually punished me.
You punished me for things that are developmentally normal.
Yeah,
And this is what I
exactly.
say. Yeah, I say to parents, your 3-year-old child does not know they shouldn't be drawing on the wall. But when they do draw on the wall and you come around the corner and they see that look on your face, because they're scanning your facial expressions for, is this safe or is this not?
Yes.
So they see
Yes.
your face and your face is like this. You don't have to say a word. You're activating their amygdala, their fight flight, they're in their fear response, and they go like this, right? And then as adults, we say, oh, no, 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 no. My child knows not to draw on the wall because when I caught them, they were shocked. Yes, by the look on your face. And their nervous system remembered the last time that you weren't happy about that. It's stored in the nervous system, not the brain, because they're not developed. So when we
Yeah.
punish a child for doing something that's developmentally normal, we are
Mm.
saying you are bad, you are wrong. They
Yes.
like, well, I was just drawing on the wall. For me, this is fun.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
so I tell
totally
parents
agree.
all the time, learn child. One of the best things you could do as a parent is learn child brain development and know what's developmentally normal and know what isn't developmentally normal. And then
Yeah.
set your expectations according to that. Don't expect your child to have executive functioning when they don't have access to their prefrontal cortex. It's just,
Yeah.
it's it's so unfair to the child. You can cause a lifetime of damage.
Vanessa, thank you so much for, well, first of all, giving me a chance. This is actually my first interview on doing something like this. So I really wanted to thank
Really?
you. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm a
darling.
hairdresser, so I naturally learn how to be able to talk, but I'm really not on your level. You are just
No, no,
so intelligent. Oh,
darling,
well,
it's not about comparing here. It's please
no,
don't
no, no,
compare.
no. But
No, no,
as
no.
in, but what I'm saying is that it's quite nice to talk to someone who you kind of go, gee, I really want to one day be articulate and being
Yep,
able to speak really properly and confidently with my words. Because as
yep.
hairdressers, you're not really that
I'm
great.
an ex-hairdresser too.
Oh, are you? But so you
Yeah,
know our background, right?
absolutely do.
Yeah.
And
So
we are the best people that we know people inside out because we have that we can tell a person's facial expression, the energy changes, the shifts
yes,
and all of that. And trauma does that for you too. It helps you to
yes,
really understand people. But
yeah.
darling,
And to be honest, the conversation just kept going. It was absolutely lovely to talk to Vanessa. She was insightful. She shared a lot of her experience and she's just so knowledgeable in her expertise. If anything Vanessa had shared resonated with you, she offers services ranging from one on one coaching to family reset sessions. You can contact her on her Instagram, thebrain_boss. I will tag her on the link below and you can make further inquiries regarding any of the services that may be able to help. I definitely recommend her. She was absolutely lovely.